Ladies and gentlemen, this video should be called Welding Tricks of the Trade and getting rid of some worthless scraps of metal in a configuration that I had never even thought about until I got these scraps of metal and had nothing to do with them. So what we're doing here today is, Daisy, prepare yourself to do a bead and I'll explain it. As you know from a previous video, I gave them some long pieces of 3/4 inch spring steel that I wanted cut, 5 pieces this length, and then 6 pieces about 6 or 7 inches, and a few pieces, 2 pieces 8 inches long. And this is what I got. I wanted every one of my pieces to be raked on one end or two end, and I had it laid out with what is called a soapstone on every piece, the size and the direction of the rake. And this is what I got, 15 pieces of this. So I was going to have to scrap. So what I decided to do was weld these pieces onto the bucket as extra. They were supposed to be pieces for here. Go ahead, Daisy, go. There was supposed to be a tooth for here, and then on the inside, and the short pieces were going to go in the middle for a filler so it didn't flap around. There was going to be another tooth here and another tooth here. But when they cut them the wrong size, I came home and thought about it for 3 days, and I decided to weld them onto the bucket as like an additional kind of cutting tooth, which they are. Now the problem with this is none of them are raked yet, so I have a torch and I'll cut them with the torch, because you can't grind them. That's how hard this spring steel is, not grindable. Daisy, oh, another trick of the trade is that this, when you burn one rod, the stinger gets so hot because of the low quality steel in the cable itself that the cable end where it meets the stinger starts to melt. So I had to take it apart. There's no way to polish the wire and solder it. It won't solder. It's not solderable. It's got some kind of petrochemical on it. So this gets so hot. Go ahead. It gets so hot that it has to be cooled off, squelched, squelch. I'm so upset about this. So we had to take the cable, unstrand it, and wrap it around a bolt, and then clamp the cable. Clamp the cable. Clamp the cable to the bolt, because you can't, you cannot, it's impossible to solder it, because it has some kind of petrochemical. By the time you get the solder off, there's nothing left of the wire. The wire is so fine and so weak that even if you just pull it with your hands like this, it comes out of you, comes apart like a long-haired collie when you're brushing a long-haired collie. In 20 strokes of a wire brush, the wire is gone. So we have to do these things. Daisy's got this bead thing down to a science. I think she's going to start giving welding lessons. Daisy's going to be a welder. Yeah. Female welder in the Philippines, yeah? Daisy's, now make her wear the goggles, and she has earplugs so none of the spatter can go in her ears. I do also. I had a good friend of mine, a little piece of spatter goes in your ear and you're deaf in 3 seconds in that ear. So we put these pieces on here in this configuration.
I need to put here? No?
Yeah, go ahead. You could go up there. And then eventually I'll just cut this with the torch. That's my That's my experience with ordering parts from the Philippines. They say yes, they understand. They had the drawing. The drawing was specific for the sizes and the angles, and some of them were this size, 4.5. Some of them were 6, but there are no 6, and 2 of them were 8, and there are no 8s. None of them are cut on a 45 or a rake. Zero, voila, yamu, nada, squat is cut on a 45. So this is what we did with them. Okay, honey, go. Watch this. Look at this, yeah? Nice, yeah? Yeah. Salamat. Alright, so this is Michael Fazio and Daisy Mae in the Philippines, baby. Daisy's creating chicken tae on the bucket. Look at that. Listen to that bead. Good, yeah? Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so all right, so that's it. Daisy, pick up the helmet. Show them what a welder looks like. Female welder in the Philippines, baby.
Baby. Oh, it's not so tight. My handkerchief.
Tamu ka oy. Tamu ka oy. That's right, baby.